Hi, I'm Forrest.
And I'm Grace.
We're from Biola University.
Enjoy our film.
The neon jungle, home to the most curious of species. It seems the alpha has spotted her prize. The pack nestles into this softly lit cavern, shelter for the long night ahead. It seems our time with our friends has come to an end. Fascinating creatures.
Hey everybody, thanks for tuning in. My name's Taylor. I'm with the School of Cinema and Media Arts here at Biola University. You just got done watching the incredible film that our filmmakers made for Coca-Cola and the Coca-Cola Refreshing Films Competition. And we have them here now. We're gonna ask some questions, get an idea of what this whole process looked like. And so I don't know about you guys, but I'm really excited to jump in. First off, Forrest is our director, so wave hi, Forrest, good to have you. Grace is our producer. Hey, Grace. And then Ryan's the editor for the project. Good to have you, Ryan. Cynthia's the production designer, and Alyssa is the director of photography. Good to have you as well. So my first question is for Ryan and Forrest. Tell us a little bit about how this idea started. Where did this all come about, this mockumentary in a way?
Kind of one of the inspirations we had for the spot was the idea of The Office, or something that's been sort of coming around where sitcoms are more less laugh track, less sort of on the nose, and the jokes were supposed to come from the idea of having a narration behind it, having sort of this third party to really just get behind and really put the jokes inside the audience and not put the jokes in front of the audience on the screen. And so I think the idea behind came just from a trash, I think it was like a trash bag video, right, for or a grocery bag.
Yeah.
Jeremy Irons was a YouTube video, right?
Yeah, YouTube video, the journey of the plastic bag.
Right,
and it's like
right.
a commentary on like these nature documentaries. We were just like, that's it. That's
yeah.
That's the tone.
It was just that tone, that style of just having this super formal narrator over something so whimsical. It was just like, why not make a film about that? And so that's where it sort of started.
Nice. So Forrest is the director and kind of being with this project from the beginning. Give us a snapshot of what this process looked like, from being one of 600 submissions to landing a spot as a finalist and getting $15,000 from Coke to make this spot. Tell us what that process looked like.
Yeah, I mean, it was overwhelming. When, we first submitted, it was just kind of this like, oh, we'll see what happens. Kind of wishful thinking, like this would be great. But, it was 600 submissions, so we have no idea. And then we kept getting more and more emails about, yeah, you're, in the top this, you're in the top this. And it kept getting down to the wire. And we were like, this might actually happen. And it was really just overwhelming, but we kept telling ourselves, don't get too excited. So it was this back and forth of like being excited and not trying to like get too overwhelmed. So all the while we were also doing a lot of tweaking to the script and a lot of just visual ideas and references and stuff that we're sending them to help them to see exactly what we were looking for. So it was like a lot of work and then trying not to get excited. So when we found out we were selected, it was like, can we get excited now? Is now the time? And I just remember calling everybody being like, we did it. And it was still like unbelievable at the time. So it took a second, I think, to really kick us into reality, saying we're about to make this spot and it's going to be a great time for us.
Yeah, from the time that you guys first submitted to when you guys wrapped, how many months was the entire process for you guys?
Wow, I feel like we're still going in some ways to this day. There's a lot of paperwork and details to iron out. It was relatively quiet for a few months as we just continued to work on the script. And then come September and December especially, we really were, okay, we're shooting. Let's really like kick it into gear and get started on this. And so I feel like there was this chunk of time where every waking moment was like, let's keep working on this. Let's do the best that we can. And then we can sleep after all of it is over. And we're still working on it. So Hopefully that's soon.
Grace, as the producer on this project, give us an idea of what producing a spot for such a big brand like Coke was like. So what was your biggest wins? What were some of the hardest obstacles that you had to overcome?
Yeah, it was a very daunting and really tough balancing act throughout the entire process. With the brand as recognizable as Coke, naturally, everyone wants to make sure the final product is as solid as it can possibly be. So you're going to get a lot of different creative input from a lot of different places, and you want to make sure everyone is heard and all of the advice is getting attended to. That, I think, was one of our biggest challenges, was just making sure that everybody was in the loop that needs to be, should be, can be. And it took a lot of coordination to get communication between client and team and school, just every individual running smoothly. But I think that was also one of the biggest wins for me and for the spot was all of the support from the community, and specifically alumni support. A lot of these guys came back from full-time jobs to come make this spot like the best that it could be, and it was a huge learning experience for me personally. I'm very new to producing, so to get to learn from all of these guys that I maybe wouldn't have had a chance to because they graduated before me was just really, really invaluable. And learning from the Coke professional team also super, super helpful.
So communication, absolutely key. What was a big win for you guys with this? What was a moment where you felt that you were at the top of the mountain and it all felt like everything was running on all cylinders?
Production night. Production night, just like when everybody showed up and we had like right before we started getting into filming, we had like a big circle outside the front of the theater, and we had a moment where we could all just see each other in person, be together. The Coke team had flown out from New York and Chicago and different places, and like all these different professionals and students came together, and we got to just share that moment, and we were like, wow, this is real. The last several months of panic and not sleeping and wanting to make sure everything was going smoothly paid off. And then production night itself was not as stressful as I thought it would be. It was a lot of fun.
That's awesome. And yeah, like you mentioned, the cool thing about this project was that it's made up of current Biola students and Biola alums kind of coming together to create this amazing piece. I think that's one thing that makes it really special and shows off the incredible talent that we have at Biola and that Biola's been able to produce. So that's really cool. Alyssa is our director of photography. So a question for you, Alyssa. What did you shoot on for this project? Some are probably pretty curious to know. And then how did the story influence the look that you wanted to achieve from the camera?
So we ended up shooting on the red Gemini along with the Zeiss Supreme Primes. Initially, before we had kind of really talked with Coke, I thought that I was going to end up shooting on the Helium, which is what Biola has, just because it has the 8K capability, and it would have been fun to kind of play with a very wide frame that could kind of enhance the epic sense of the theater and what our characters are walking into. But after kind of contemplating being in a low light situation most of the time, and finding out that Coke had access to a Gemini, which has a dual ISO and was a little bit better in the low light, I ended up going with that. And I had never used it before, so it was really fun to be able to play with something and get experience with something a little bit newer to me. And then the Zeiss, we chose the Supreme Primes just because they have a really beautiful quality, aside from them being extremely sharp, which is what I wanted, of course, for a spot. They were very milky and had a really beautiful, they were a really beautiful addition to the piece. And then along with that, I ended up including, which goes along with the story, some Pearlescent filters. And they kind of bloomed a lot of the highlights and added a really unique quality to the neon, which was really fun to play with in terms of story. And also, we incorporated a lot of dolly movement and wanted to keep the piece really flowing in that way, just because I feel like society today is very like, we want things to happen quickly and we never want the pace to stop. So yeah, it was really fun to kind of design the piece around the narrative, Neon Jungle, and I feel like it turned out really well.
It looked amazing, so fantastic job, Alyssa.
Thank you.
And we also have Cynthia on the call as well, who is our production designer on this film. And so as the production designer, you have to worry about everything from props to wardrobe. Give us some insight into what made a production design for this spot different than any other project you'd worked on before.
This project was definitely very special. I have experience doing a lot of run and gun, I've always been pretty prepared for sets, going in knowing that, if you're making the props, if you're setting up, your set deck and you have wardrobe to take care of, everything has to be in tip-top shape. But I think this, really, set the standard for me. I was way more prepared than I've ever been on any set ever. And I'm usually pretty, we need to be prepared for this. I think of things ahead of time. This was I need to think 5 steps ahead. And so I had a really amazing team. I usually work with smaller teams. It's usually me and a couple other people, but this time I was really grateful to have about close to 10. But we were a well-oiled machine, and I honestly couldn't have done it without them. The biggest challenge was really trying to make sure that we're up to standards. So I had to look at our sets and see what was branded that wasn't Coke. And I had to change all of that. And so Aviva really helped me out with that. She was very on top of just making sure that we had, that it looked like a Coke standard set. And that's something that I was grateful to learn on this set. When you work with a big company and when you do very professional sets, you have to look for the things that nobody else is going to look for.
You did such an amazing job, you and your team. And, I can only imagine working with such a big brand like Coke that everyone knows the feel and the brand image of. A lot of pressure on that, but you definitely executed and absolutely nailed it. So congratulations, Cynthia.
Thank you.
Yeah. Ryan, the editor for the project, editing a 30-second spot, I'm sure it was super tough to get that cut just right. So what was one of the most challenging aspects to cutting the piece?
I think there was a lot. Probably the toughest thing that we had to face was, we had to have a story in 30 seconds. And just to have something, almost having an arc and have sort of this flow in 30 seconds is really tough. And it came down to the wire where it was sort of, we have visions coming around. They're all great ideas and all great sort of perspectives that we want to sort of encapsulate and package together. But it came to the point where we got to start taking some stuff out, some shots that we love, some great things that we caught, and some stuff that it directed us in a way where we wanted, but also we also want to make sure that we kept Coca-Cola's vision throughout, and the vision to have this a film that is produced and directed and really led by female filmmakers, as well as our film had 3 female leads, right? And to have a story that takes that and makes sure that it's not only just, oh hey, here's our story, but here's a story about a pack of friends that are going to the movies, and it's supposed to be this normal thing that we all do, but having a narrate over, and that just adds another layer. And so I think for us, it was just keeping that story as clear as we wanted since the beginning, and having that story being changed and shifted and shaped into something that's what it is now and what's being shown around, hopefully in around the States and many theaters. That it's just something that's amazing and really tough to do, and I'm glad we went through it though.
Yeah, Ryan, amazing job by you to stitch this thing together. I know you had to make a lot of hard decisions there at the end of the day with what to cut, what to leave in. Just phenomenal job with the pacing of the entire piece. So great job, Ryan.
Thank you.
Forrest and Grace, I'm curious, what's next for you guys? Forrest, what do you got lined up? What are you working on?
I have started to kind of find my way into the games industry and video games, and I'm slowly starting to work on producing for those, producing software, and Grace and another peer of ours and I have started a virtual reality training and education company that we're trying to get off the ground as well. And I feel like that's been taking a lot of our time as we kind of like steer towards that direction. And it's been a really great new environment for us to explore.
I love it. Grace, give us a little snapshot into, we know you're working on the VR company right now. Give us a snapshot of that and anything else that you're working on currently.
Yeah, well, next immediate step for me is graduation, whatever that looks like going forward. I want to join these guys in the real world. But yeah, a lot of taking a lot of what we learned working with Coca-Cola and a big client and putting that into starting our own company is definitely a lot of my time these days, and it's really exciting. And staying connected to Biola, our company actually won second place in the annual startup competition, so we won some seed money and we're ready to hit the ground running.
Amazing. That's so exciting. I know myself, the entire School of Cinema and Media Arts at Biola are super proud of you guys. Before we head on out, we're going to do a firing round where I'm just going to go by and start with Ryan and then go up to Cynthia and Alyssa and Grace and Forrest. Give me one piece of encouragement or advice that you would give to someone maybe looking to join the Coke film competition. What would you tell them? So Ryan, we'll start with you. What piece of advice would you give?
I mean, we come from a Christian college, and if God brought us all here to do this project together. I really do believe that we wouldn't be here at the stage we are now if we didn't have someone looking over us, and it's amazing that we have a father to do that. So if any encouragement, just know that there's already somebody cheering you on. There's somebody that's supporting you, somebody that has loved you, whatever craft you do. It's from the beginning. So that's my encouragement.
I love it, man. Amen. That's awesome. Cynthia, what do you got for us? Piece of encouragement.
Over communicate, over prepare. Even if you think you're ready, keep getting more ready, if that makes sense.
I love it. Alyssa, what piece of advice would you give for students?
I would say learn as much as you can while you're a student, and this competition is one of the best ways where you can learn all about working with clients and what it's like to be told no many times, and figuring out ways to please a lot of people. And I didn't get that experience until after graduating. So I would say, yeah, take advantage of it while you're a student and learn as much as you can before you move on. That's great. Grace, what do you got for us?
Never, ever be afraid to ask for help and always budget for coffee.
That's great. That could be the title of a book you write. Always budget for coffee. I love it. That's good. That's good. Forrest, what do you got for us, man?
I think it's essential to surround yourself with people who are way more talented than you are. And from both a learning and pushing yourself perspective, but also just to get the job done. Like, if we didn't have every single person that we had on this set to do what we did, it would just not be what it was. Like, everybody brought so much talent to this. And it's just from having this great connection of so many great people at Biola who are just so skilled that we just said, okay, let's get everybody from Biola here because we know that all together we can really make something great, and everybody brought something so unique. And so I just encourage you to get that network huge and just know so many talented people and be around them all the time.
I love it. That's some good stuff, some good advice there. I can't thank you all enough for joining us. And from Biola School of Cinema and Media Arts, Biola University, we are so proud of you guys, the filmmakers, and the entire crew who participate in this project, from our current students to our alumni. Very proud of you guys, what you guys have accomplished. Want to also thank all of the viewers. If you missed the premiere in the beginning of this, go ahead and head to Coke.com, check out the Biola film, check out the other films from the other great universities as well, and have a great evening.